Now we've got our guides laid out. You can see they're all on there, no tape. They're hanging just fine, they're not falling off. So we'll just take our little thread tensioner here on our hand wrapper, pull the two washers off, install our spool of thread, and the more you tighten that wing nut, the more tension you're going to add to your thread. You don't need a ton, but you want it to be nice and taut for sure. So I'm going to run my thread through the little loop here and bring it up to where I can start working on it. Take a piece of our masking tape, and I'm going to actually take the thread, put some of the tape on the thread just like that, and tape it on the blank above my guide foot. I'm going to wrap from the bottom of the rod. The butt of the rod is down here. I'm going to wrap from the bottom of the guide foot towards the ring. Okay, so that's where I'm going to put my tape, the direction I'm wrapping, because I'm actually going to wrap over the thread. So I'm going to just hold it nice and taut, and actually if you want you can tighten up your thread tensioner a little bit, and I'm just going to spin the blank with my fingers with the thread coming back towards the bottom of the guide foot, and I'm going to come past it probably 3/16 of an inch or so. You can play with that gap. There's no rhyme or reason or no rule, it's just a matter of what's comfortable for you. So you can see I just went from the tape towards the tip of the rod, angled the thread back, rotated the blank with my hands, one hand on the thread, one hand on the blank, and just came down to the bottom of the guide foot. So now we've got our thread back behind the guide foot, or at the start of the guide foot. I'm just going to rotate the blank to get a nice straight wrap now that we're back where we want to start our wrap. And you can see right here where we started coming all the way around, we're going to cross the thread. So that is what locks your thread on there. There's no knots in rod building. You just lock the thread under itself. So we came down to where we wanted to wrap, went around in a complete circle, and we're going to cross the wrap itself, the thread. So we're going to just wrap it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Doesn't matter. The more you put down there, the less chance you have of your thread pulling through. You want to do at least 5. And you can actually see that little bump in there underneath our thread wraps. That's where the thread locks down on itself. So we'll wrap that. You can see we wrapped it plenty of times here. It's not going to hurt anything. So then we'll take our thread and a razor blade, again included in the kit. You can take it off from the tag end now, because that tag end's been locked on there by the main wrap. Just going to pull this taut, take our razor blade, and just cut the tag off. And don't worry about cutting it exactly flush. You're going to keep your wraps going in that direction, so you're going to wrap over whatever tag end is left. So again, we're going to keep rotating our blank, and we're applying pressure down and back to keep our wraps nice and tight. You got to find that happy medium where the angle is just at the right point where it won't come too far back and cross over, but then again you're staying tight against the other threads. And once we get to where we've got probably about 10 or so revolutions left of thread, I'm going to go ahead and take one of the KB quick pulls, just a real simple little tool that makes rod building a lot easier, and I'm just going to go ahead and insert it under the thread and just put the loop that doesn't have a bead towards the direction we're wrapping, because we're going to pull that loop up under these next threads that we're going to wrap on there. So the bead makes it nice and easy to grab and pull through. Also makes it nice and easy to find on your lathe or on your wrapper. So you can see we just put that loop under there and just leave it there. So now that we've got our thread wrap done, you can see we've got our wrap all the way up to the actual frame where it's going up to our ring. So we're going to stop before we get too high. If you bring your wraps too far and tight against here, then you're going to have epoxy all the way up here and want to run up your legs here. So we'll just stop right there. And what I'm going to do, you can see we have our loop right here. Again, the loop with no bead is towards the tip of the rod. So we're going to take some thread, pull it off the spool here, just pull off some extra thread, give it a cut with the razor blade, and just keep it taut with my fingers. Okay, and we're going to take this and put it through the loop on our quick pull, just like that. So all we've done is just put the thread through the loop, keeping tension on it the whole time. And now I'm going to take the quick pull and just pull it, and that's going to pull the thread under itself, therefore locking it in there. You can see it pulling through here on the tag end, and we pull that through. Now we can let go of it. That wrap is locked on. It's not going to go anywhere. It's nice. Well, what about all these gaps? Okay, well, I'm going to leave this tag end for right now until I've got all these gaps tightened up. Because once we trim that tag end, if you start pushing your wraps around, at some point you're going to have your tag end get pushed back out and your wrap will unravel. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and leave that tag for now, and then just use a burnishing tool, the back end of a brush or the back end of a razor blade, and just smooth these gaps out, or your fingernail even. Okay, so now that we've got this wrap tightened up, so we're going to take this tag right here, pull it nice and taut, and just cut it. And if you have a little bump there or any kind of fuzz, just take your razor blade. I always sometimes use my thumbnail, push it against the wrap right there, and just clean it up a little bit. And that's it. We'll go ahead and put our trim band on this wrap, and that way this part of our blank is done, and then we'll move on and complete them as we go. So all I'm going to do is I went ahead and swapped out metallic blue for the neon. And now I'm just going to run it through our little eyelet there. We tape our thread to our blank in the direction we're going to wrap. Now, because we've already completed our main wrap, we're going to seat our trim band up against that wrap and wrap away from it. So we're wrapping in this direction, this time towards the butt of the rod. So that's the direction we're going to tape our thread in. And then we're just going to rotate the blank with the thread on an angle back towards where we're going to start our wrap. Just like that. And then once we get to where we're going to start the wrap, do a complete revolution and cross. See that cross there? I'm going to cross over the thread itself. Remember, we're going to do that at least 5, 6, 7, 8 times to lock that thread on there. No less than 5. And now that we've got it locked on with a couple wraps, I'm going to go ahead and, even though I haven't finished my locking wrap with the crosses, I'm going to go ahead and insert my quick pull, because I want this trim band to be thin. So I'm actually, these next wraps are going to be wrapping the thread over itself and over this quick pull. So we're getting two things done at once and maximizing the space on the trim wrap by not making it too large. So now we've got 2 wraps on the quick pull, 3, 4, 5. Now we've got our wraps completed. Go ahead and cut the thread insert it into the loop, just like that. Keep tension on it. And keep tension on it as I pull the bead nice and easy through there. Just nice steady pressure is all you need. And one trick with metallic doesn't like to be pulled under itself. There's actually a foil, metallic foil over a nylon core, and that foil will get distorted and start to bunch up when you pull it under itself. So often what I do is trim this tag that's going to be pulled through anyway and make my life easier by having to pull less thread under itself. The important part is over here. It's already been pulled under itself, so now we're just pulling through the back side of this tag. Boom, done. So now that that's done, give it a little tug, make sure it's nice and taut. We have our other, this is our thread from our starting wrap. Now I'll go ahead and tighten these up with my fingernail or the back edge of a razor blade or a brush or a thread pick. Now that's nice and tight, no gaps. Just take my razor blade, just like before, pull the thread taut. That's all there is to it. And on this one, same thing. Pull the thread taut, take the razor blade, come down the thread, just like that. The tip can kind of get a little tricky. So one thing you can do is use these thread bobbins. These are just simple thread bobbins. You just load your spool thread between those two beads. Just push your thread up through this pipe here, and it comes out, and it just applies nice steady pressure on there. So definitely another good tool to have laying around, which makes wrapping a lot easier. We're going to wrap our tips up just like we wrap the guides. We're going to tape our thread down the blank, because in this case we're going to be wrapping away from the tip. So we're going to go ahead and rotate our blank and work the thread down towards the tip. When we get to the tip, do a complete revolution, again crossing the thread back onto itself. Do that a handful of times. We can then come in here, leave your bobbin kind of taut just like that. It'll act like a tensioner. Take our tag end off. Just like so. There's no rhyme or reason as to how long your wrap needs to be. This is just purely aesthetic. The quick pull, just like so. Continuing our wrap at least 5 times, 6 or 7 to be safe. Give yourself plenty of thread when you're going to cut it. Just like that. Take our thread, put it through the loop, keeping tension on it the whole time. Pull the loop back under itself, just like that. Trim that tag end. That way I've got that much less thread that I need to pull through. Trim that. Then I'm going to start my trim band the same way. Just like that, and our wraps are done.